You are watching a video from Aginggeekfully at blogspot.com. My name is JD, and this week I'm going to be talking to you guys about a couple of the comic book releases that came out on Wednesday. Most notably would be Fantastic Four issue number 587, which contains the death of one of the Fantastic Four's members, which if you still don't know who died and you don't want to know, you probably want to stop listening right now. First off, I want to say that Fantastic Four has always been my favorite comic book. And ever since my first issue of the Fantastic Four way back in the late 80s, I've been hooked on this comic book. I've always loved the family element. I've always loved the differences in the characters. And that's why I was particularly interested in who they were going to kill off. Granted, like Mr. Fantastic's been dead before and has come back. And that's kind of the case with all comic books, is eventually, you know, these heroes come back to life. As I've said before, this whole story arc that's been going on has been phenomenal by Hickman, and it finally came together in this issue, which was superbly written and superbly drawn. Even the cover, which if you look at, is very interesting. It shows all the different members of the Fantastic Four and all the separate perils that they're all currently facing. The member that actually died was the Human Torch, which I personally did not expect. I thought it was going to be Mr. Fantastic again, but it was the Human Torch, and I guess it's not really that big of a surprise when you think about it. You know, the Thing, he's kind of in the Avengers right now, and the Invisible Woman, she's kind of one of the more prominent women in the Marvel Universe. I just couldn't see her going. But it makes sense with Johnny. He has, I guess, the least amount of impact on this team and on the Marvel Universe as a whole. But it was a really interesting story, especially the way he went down. You know, he's always been like the jokester and the kid in the group, and, you know, he made a very adult decision at the end to make his last stand. This is by far one of the best comic books that I've read in a long time, and even if you're not really that big of a comic book fan, I think it's worth checking out. Also this week, the Uncanny X-Force had its 4th issue come out, and this is a series that I'm really enjoying, and I'm typically not as big a fan of the X-books as I am of other things, but I really like this cast that they've put together with Deadpool and Wolverine, and this is one of the few books that I actually think Wolverine really fits in, and it's good to see the Archangel back. And again, the ending to this one is kind of shocking, especially for most comic book audiences, I would think, but that's what I liked about it. It was so unexpected, and if you're not reading this one, I would again recommend this series to you. I think it has a lot of potential, and I'm really curious as to see where the next story arc is going to be going. I also picked up The Age of X this week, which is kind of similar to The Age of Apocalypse that happened back in the 90s, where they're trying to do a retelling, alternate universe, mutant kind of thing. And although I was really captivated by Age of Apocalypse back, over 15 years ago, this Age of X just seems like they're just trying to redo, exactly what they've already done. And it wasn't very engaging, and they purposely left out the backstory behind everything, which I thought was kind of weird. There was no precursor. You're right in the middle of it, and they write about that at the end of the story, but there could have been more here, and honestly, it feels like the same thing. If you're thinking about getting this one, I would tell you to save your money. Also, the new Avengers came out, which I just have to say this about the Avenger books right now. My biggest problem with them is the artwork. Marvel has made the Avengers pretty much their flagship. They've got the movies coming out and, the cartoons and everything, and they don't have very good talent drawing the books right now. And I think that if they're really going to be, this much of a push behind these books, why wouldn't you put your best talent here? So I really think that Marvel needs to improve who they have working on these books right now. And lastly, I picked up the Justice League of America issue number 53 just to check it out, because I haven't read a JLA book in a while, and I guess this was Mark Bagley's last issue doing the pencils, which was kind of neat to catch, and it was actually a pretty entertaining story, and I probably will pick up the next issue as well, because Brett Booth is taking over penciling duties, and he's always been one of my favorite artists, so I'll definitely probably start reading the JLA a little bit more. That's going to do it for this week. If you have any comments, please log on to aginggeekfully.blogspot.com and let me know what you think, especially about the death of Johnny Storm.